Thank you, Chair Antiveros. And I'm going to share my screen here so we can take a look at your agenda for today. Everybody seeing the agenda?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So welcome, commissioners and staff and any members of the public who happen to join us to the Planning and Zoning Commission's study session agenda for today, September 27th. First on this agenda are public hearing items that are scheduled for next month's public hearing on October 25th. We have 5 public hearing items scheduled that we anticipate will be on the agenda for next month. They're all 5 conditional use permits for RV as a permanent residence, and they are all generally in the Valley area. So the first 2 are being managed by Kelly Bingham from our staff. So she is going to kick off with discussing the first 2, and then the last 3 are managed by Bob. So a lot of similarities, but a couple nuanced differences. So we'll be letting you know general location of where these are. They all are conditional use permit for RV as a permanent residence, but a couple nuances on some intent of some of the applicants here. So Kelly, if you'd like, I'll stop sharing my screen, and you could share yours and orient the commissioners to the first 2 cases for next month.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely. I'll go ahead and get started. All right, can everyone see my screen okay?
Seeing it great.
Thank you. All right, the first case for this evening is CUP-23-036. The property owner and applicant in this case is Anders Ottesen. And you may recognize this case from last month. This one is a continuance due to some improper noticing. So I'll just refresh your memory on it real quick before we move on to the next one. It's in the AR zone on a 1-acre parcel. And as you can see, it's a little bit to the southeast of the intersection of Highway 180 and Highway 64. So it's all the way over here in this corner, and the intersection would be up to the north here, if you can see my mouse. Like I mentioned before, this is a continued case from last month, and the applicant is proposing a gravel parking pad with solar power, and they've said that they'll keep lighting to a minimum to reduce disturbance to the neighbors. Here's a site plan for this project. The RV is well within the setbacks here. And staff will be checking conformance with the zoning ordinance and Valley area plan. Are there any questions on this one?
Ms. Bingham, I'm not seeing any hands raised or unmutes, so let's go ahead and bump to the next one, please.
Thank you, Chair Ontiveros. The next one is also an RV as a permanent residence, CUP-23-043. The applicant for this case is Cedric Dassau. Not exactly sure how to say his name, but he's at 149 East Vassar Avenue. The parcel is 1.05 acres in the AR1 zone. And this is also something that might look familiar to you. There was a brief code enforcement issue that was resolved relatively quickly, and they're back on the study session for next month. As you can see, this one's a little closer to Highway 64, just to the south of the intersection of Highway 64 and Highway 180. So the intersection would be up in this direction. You can see my mouse. In this case, they're proposing a deck and a patio. They would dump waste at a dump station until they're ready to install a septic system. You'll see on their site plan that they are proposing a septic system, although it's not quite clear when they'll start that process. They're hoping to build a single-family dwelling, and they're hoping that'll be done by May 2024. However, if they get approval of this permit, they could live in the RV indefinitely. Here's the site plan that I mentioned. The RV is located right here, a little bit north of the center of the property, and you can see these purple lines represent the septic system that they intend to install eventually. And just like the case before, staff will be checking conformance with the zoning ordinance and the Valley Area Plan. Are there any questions on this one?
Again, Ms. Bingham, I'm not seeing hands raised or unmutes, so please go to the next one.
Thanks, Madam Chair. The next three Bob is managing. They are all also RVs, conditional use permits for an RV in the Valley area. So Bob, if you want to share your screen, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commission. Can everyone hear me okay and see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
All right, thanks. So I put all three of them together in one quick PowerPoint here. That's 44, 45, and 46, all done by the same app, all requested by the same applicant. There we go. And in this case, the property owner is the Isham Group LLC of Hidden Hills, California. The applicant is Lexington Isham of Hidden Hills, California. Zoning's AR. The properties are all located in Valley, and they're all about 1 acre in size, and all of them propose to use RVs as permanent residents with tanks for containment of water and wastewater and solar for power. And this is just the general location of all of them. They're kind of spread out in this circle, probably a small area like this within a block or two away from each other. So they're all right in here. And this is a sample site plan. This is just one of the site plans. Of course, there are three. And finally, these are the proposed RVs, each with the address where it would be located. And they are all, according to the applicant, REVA standard RVs. So they are certified as RVs. With that, I'll take any questions from the commission.
Mr. Short, I'm not seeing any hands raised or unmutes, so please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We'll go back to our agenda here. So those are the items that are scheduled for public hearing for next month. We do have one conditional use permit that is eligible for administrative renewal on your agenda. It is administrative renewal of a cell tower in the Blue Ridge area. There have been no complaints, no enforcement issues, and no requested changes from the applicant on this cell tower CUP. So just want to do a quick check, see if any of the commissioners have any questions on this admin renewal.
Commissioner Best, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Has this been noticed so that anyone who had a complaint could step forward?
Actually, Chairman Ferris and Commissioner Best, we don't notice when these come up for admin renewal. The zoning ordinance doesn't require us to notice. We do, we just keep track of whether there have been complaints. This is a cell tower. We seldom get any code enforcement complaints on cell towers because once they're installed, there's confirmation that they're installed according to their approval, and just not something that we typically get complaints on. So to answer your question, yeah, there's no notice. There's no notice on it unless, Bob, am I missing anything here? Is there any other way that the surrounding property owners would find out about an admin renewal?
Mr. McNeely, yeah, they are actually noticed. They're noticed within
Oh.
300 feet. And
Oh, that's right. Okay.
and it's
Okay.
posted, so they can provide comments. And
Mhm.
what would happen is if there were some substantial comments that can't be taken care of, fairly quickly, I think the code says 30 days, then it is required to come to the commission for approval.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, well, that answers my question. This is in the middle of a neighborhood, so I just want to make sure that if there were any issues going on, the neighbors knew it was being renewed and had a chance to chime in if they cared to. But it sounds like everything's been communicated as well as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Best, and thank you, staff, for that explanation. That's good information. Mr. McNeely, let's go ahead and go to Community Development Department update, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. The first three items here are all being managed by our long-range planner, Melissa Shaw. So Melissa is with us. If you'd like to give the commissioners an update on items 1, 2, and 3 here.
Thank you, commissioners. Yeah, so on item 1, Jess, if you could just scroll up a little bit more so we
sorry.
see
There
the
we
full.
go.
There we go. The first item is just an update on the Route 66 Brownfields grant, and as it says here, the current grant, all of the funds have been expended, which is great news. I don't have the exact number of properties that actually benefited from the grant money, but in Coconino County, there were several. And as you know, it was a coalition of 5 different Northern Arizona governments who were part of that effort, and, did all the outreach and helped property owners apply for the grants and get the money to do the assessments on their properties. So, but just today, then we met with the same coalition members plus new ones, which would expand the coalition into Navajo County, as well as, I am not remembering all of the new coalition members, but there is a new EPA grant application cycle opening. The applications are due in November. This time around, the grants would actually provide more funding for up to $1.5 million. And then the funds would potentially provide not just environmental site assessments for properties, but also site reuse planning. So they're also going to expand the length of the cycle. So there could be some additional benefits to property owners that have site contamination and need some grant money to help assess what's going on. So this is something that Coconino County is working again with the coalition, and will likely provide a letter of commitment. We do need to go through the application process again. It will be more competitive this time. They're only probably going to award 26 grants across the country, so not every state will receive a grant award, but we will try with NACOG as kind of the convener of this bigger coalition. And but just from the Coconino County's point of view, there are some items that we'll need to provide to NACOG to help complete the application. And of course, part of that is a letter of commitment from the board. So just kind of FYI on that. If it gets awarded, I believe the award notifications come out in January, certainly in the new year. And so the grant funding would likely be available starting in the spring of 2024. So just, are there any questions on that new possibility?
Ms. Shaw, I'm not seeing hands raised or unmute, so go ahead to the next item, please. Okay,
great. Thank you. So the next item is about the Flagstaff Regional Plan update, and the next phase of the project. There's a lot of work going on right now to get ready for what's called the scenario choosing workshops. And so there'll be workshops that will begin starting in pretty much mid-November with some initial meetings and going into January. these workshops will be both in person, plus there'll be some online opportunities to go in, look at the scenarios that have been developed, answer different questions about preferences for the actual final scenario. And also there will be a survey out that will be available for the community, the regional community, to look at and participate in choosing the final scenario that will eventually become the updated version of the Flagstaff Regional Plan. So this is something that we will certainly, once those workshop dates are finalized, and once the links to the online workshop as well as the survey are available, we'll share those with all of you, because this again will become eventually the recommended future land use map for the Flagstaff Regional Plan update. So if you haven't had a chance to attend any of the workshops that have gone on over the past couple years, then this would be an excellent time to start to engage and become part of the big regional plan update. Because remember, the regional plan is adopted as an amendment to the county's comprehensive plan. So when you are looking at cases that involve some discretionary decisions and such as conditional use permits, subdivisions, and rezonings that are within the Flagstaff region, the regional plan is considered along with the county's comprehensive plan goals and policies. So that is something we will keep you updated about. Are there any questions?
Again, Ms. Shaw, not seeing hands raised or unmutes, so go ahead and go to item 3, please.
Okay, thank you. So the next item, number 3, is about the county's update to the comprehensive plan. These two major planning efforts are going along at the same time, although we're at different phases. And so the regional plan began about 2 years ago. Our comprehensive plan since just began this year. But right now, what we are have been doing most recently is going out to different communities across the county to hold focus groups. And so these are small groups of local residents, stakeholders, community leaders, people that are interested in talking to us about the comprehensive plan. And this is really kicking off the visioning phase of the comprehensive plan. So the focus groups are 6 very specific questions about the vision for the future, the trends, the issues and needs, as well as just community input as far as what some solutions might be to some of those issues and needs and values. And so far we have met, just as of this week, as of yesterday, we have met with 6 different communities. Tomorrow we're meeting with another one that will make 7. We have a total of about 23 or so different focus groups planned. And just to give you an idea of the turnout, as of yesterday, we've met with and talked to, in those 6 focus groups, 56 community members. So we've been we started up in Valley. We've been to Forest Lakes, Blue Ridge, Happy Jack, Clintsville, Stillman Lake. We did a focus group here at our offices and had people come down from Fort Valley area. We've been out in Donut Park, Timberline, Fernwood. Yesterday we were in Kaibab Estates, Westwood Ranch area, and tomorrow we'll be down in Kachina Village, Mountain Air, and the Forest Highlands area. So this is going to roll out through the fall. We're trying to get the travel part done before we encounter any weather conditions that would be problematic. And then for the other focus groups that we want to hold with some other groups, we could probably do those closer to in town. So this is phase 1 of our comprehensive plan update, where we're really going out and learning about the vision for the future. We're talking to the communities about the issues and needs and the trends that should be considered. And, after that, then after we're concluded with this, then we will follow up with more community open houses to confirm what we've heard. We'll combine all of these notes that we're taking, confirm what we heard with more work, with more open houses and workshops, and then we'll move into the comprehensive plan goal and policy writing portion, phase 2 of our update. So, one point to remember, one major difference between the regional plan and the comprehensive plan is the county's comprehensive plan does not have that future land use map as part of that, as part of our document. So it does warrant a different approach. We're not taking as detailed of a look at a mapping exercise as people that have been following the city's process does. So yeah, anybody else from Planning Staff want to add to that?
Nope. No.
Okay, any questions? I know a couple of commissioners have participated in a focus group or two, so thank you for that. And we'll be coming out and having other meetings, and others of you will have opportunities to join us. So thank you. Appreciate your help.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw, and I'm not seeing any hands raised or unmute, so there's no questions or comments on that. So Mr. McNeely, if you would please move to the Board of Supervisors update, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Wanted to let you know what has recently gone to the board and what we anticipate going soon. On September 12th, the Shadow Mountain Village Phase 2 subdivision zone change and preliminary plat went to the board and was approved by the board. There was a little bit of a delay on getting your recommendation to the board until the county could work a development agreement with the applicants here on how transportation infrastructure costs would be shared. So there's a process for that, and that has now been worked out, and the zone change and subdivision preliminary plat have been approved. That would be for phase 2 of the townhouse development in Shadow Mountain Village in Belmont, and it's also for the commercial development that will be local owned commercial development that'll be right there at the roundabout. Any questions on item 1 here for the Board of Supervisors update?
Mr. McNeely, again, not seeing hands raised or unmute, so please go to number 2, please.
Okay, the next one, the case number Appeal 2301, which was an appeal of the Commission's denial of CUP 2307. That was a cell tower conditional use permit request in Kaibab Estates West. It was heard by the board on September 12th. In the hearing, the presentation from the applicant was clearly different. It was a change in the applicant's submittal from what had gone to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So based on those changes, the board chose to remand the request back to the Planning and Zoning Commission with the changes that have been proposed by the applicant. The applicant has been in contact with our staff. They are now in the process of redoing their neighborhood meeting with the changes to their application. And if they follow through after their neighborhood meeting with a completed application to our department, then you potentially will see this on your public hearing again with the changes. Any question on this appeal for this conditional use permit, item 2?
Again, Mr. McNeely, excuse me, again, Mr. McNeely, no hands raised or unmute, so please bump to number 3.
All right. Last one we want to let you know about is subdivision 2237. That was the Ranch at the Peaks final plat amendment that was recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission several months ago. That is scheduled to go to the board on October 10th. There were some issues with the Ranch of the Peaks internal roads in working with our Public Works Department and the applicant on improvements or things that needed to be done within the subdivision to meet county requirements, particularly to get the roads into the county's maintenance system. And there was desire to get that cleared up prior to getting this amendment in front of the board for hearing your recommendation. Any questions on item 3 here, the Ranch of the Peaks final plat amendment?
And again, Mr. McNeely, no hands raised or unmutes. So that's going to take us to commission and staff roundtable. Are there any commissioners that would like to join in, or staff? Raise your hand. And all right, Commissioner Best, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I was just curious, do we have any idea why we're getting so many of these applications in Valley for these motorhomes as a permanent residence?
Sure. So Madam Chair and Commissioner Best, happy to answer that one. You know, Valley, when you were looking at those maps that or the screenshots from our parcel viewer GIS mapping system of the Valley area, you see that the Grand Canyon subdivision, which was late 60s, early 70s subdivision, platted literally thousands of lots in the Valley area. There was no infrastructure or utilities planned for that subdivision, nor were there any ever installed, including the roads that were part of the subdivision were never built to any county standard, so they are not maintained by the county. In most places in the Valley, they're just a dirt road. So the long story that I'm trying to make as short as possible for the purpose of this meeting is there's a lot of lots out there with very low infrastructure, so they don't lend themselves well to the kind of development we see maybe in Kachina Village, where there's a water and sewer system, or in Doney Park, where there's a water system, or in Belmont, where there's a water and sewer system. This is more off-grid living, if you will, which lends itself well to the RV as a permanent residence. We get a lot of temporary use permits out there in the Valley area, and since 2019, when we've had the conditional use permit option for an RV as a permanent residence, we've been getting a lot in the Valley area. Our understanding of the Valley area, and actually we just did a focus group out there not too long ago, is they see a little growth out there. There's people continuing to buy those lots. Many of those lots have changed hands many times. If you poke around on our GIS system and click on those lots and see who owns them, you see a lot of out-of-state ownership. You see a lot of out-of-country ownership of a lot of those lots. So those lots change hands over time, and there have been people desiring to live in that area. There is a lot of tourism demand, obviously, in that area because of the proximity to Tucson and Grand Canyon National Park. So there's people living in the Valley area generally as workforce housing for their jobs in the kind of greater Grand Canyon National Park South Rim area. That would be how we would explain it as staff as to why we see this demand for RVs as a dwelling in the Valley area. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Best?
Well, partially. I think over the years we've just assumed there were many folks out there doing it without asking for permission, without getting the proper permits. And I just wondered if there had been an effort at communication, or if this was just an uptick in the number of people going out there. I mean, probably. I was just looking at Zillow. You can get a lot out there for 10 grand. Mm-hmm. So for 20 grand, if you buy a cheap motorhome, you can have a permanent place to live, mm-hmm. Which is great as long as folks keep up with these somewhat sketchy utility issues, especially wastewater.
Absolutely.
But I just wondered if we had tried to communicate any better with the people out there, or if there was just an uptick in demand. If just more people were moving out there. So we haven't tried to do any enforcement out there other than the normal. which would operate just on complaints.
Correct, Commissioner Best. The only enforcement that we have done in that area beyond complaints is when there's been commercial operation. So when there have been campgrounds with no permits, or short-term renting of something that was not permitted. That's when our code enforcement staff really had to get more active in that area because of concerns. But we are seeing some positive indicators that, as you notice, many people are choosing to go the correct permitting route and get permits. And yeah, so we continue to see activity. Really enjoyed doing our comprehensive plan focus group meeting in that area with community members who live in that area, and anticipate after the comprehensive plan is updated in this 2-year process that the Valley area plan could be a high candidate for one of the next area plans update. And I think it will look at all of these holistic issues of that as a community.
Yeah, I think that plan was about 2000 or 1999, something like that. So it's quite old. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I hope that we can continue working on bringing people out of the woodwork and into proper alignment with the ordinances and plans. Those lots do provide a great opportunity for workforce housing, as long as it's done safely. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Oh, I had a question for Melissa. Did you find a place to have your tribal communication meeting?
Thank you, Commissioner Best. Yes, we did. Kind of through a process of elimination, and we actually did go do a site visit. Thank you to Commissioner Tohe for joining us out at the Hart Prairie Lodge Preserve. We've decided to have it here in our Thomas conference room with there's another conference room right next door in our facilities building, and then that will also be the one focus group that we will have as a hybrid meeting. So yeah, that's October 30th.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that worked out. I'm sorry the museum couldn't provide it. How many people were you trying to meet with at this point?
Well, the invitation has gone out to about 30 different contacts and I haven't counted the total list. I think it's 23 different Indigenous nations. So I just went out yesterday. I did already receive an RSVP, which is great. And one of the reasons why that date was chosen as well is because both of our supervisors who are members of Navajo Nation are available that day. So we hope that they'll also join us.
Great. Okay, thank you.
More to come on that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to, excuse me, reach out again and ask if any commissioners or staff have anything additional for the roundtable.
So, Madam Chair, this is Jess with staff. If no commissioners have anything else, and we do have a little bit of time here. We've got a little less than an hour till your public hearing is scheduled to start. I did want to reach out to all the commissioners and let you know we appreciate the responses we got from many of you following the email I sent out about our meeting format and mechanisms within the past couple of weeks. So we are here to help. I know we all have technology challenges. We have a pretty robust IT department here at the county, and we have the good fortune as community development of being roommates, sharing a building with IT. So we really get a lot of help. So definitely the avenue is always open and available to get any staff help you might need with technology in making this online meeting system work. And we appreciate the response we got from you guys in our way ahead in being able to hold in-person hybrid meetings when the Thomas conference room here in our community development department building is upgraded to where it can successfully hold a hybrid public hearing. That is underway. IT has that equipment. We actually have things ordered and things scheduled, and we're optimistic, but we know we can't make any promises. We're optimistic that by the end of the year we could have that meeting room available. And of the 5 responses I got from commissioners, I got all indicators that people would like to meet in person, and several indicators of the caveat of, however, if I had to attend online, it's great to know that the online option is there for when things come up or life happens. So any questions or comments on your meeting format moving forward?
Commissioner Best, go ahead, please.
Do we have any plan to actually upgrade the room, or are we just talking IT? I mean, it would be great to make it a little more fun in there, you know, put some art on the wall, or, you know, make it a little more inviting. I've always wanted to have maybe we could rig something so we could harness up and do climbing on that wall. It's a really great wall in there, the stones. I don't know, just it would be fun to have a more inviting environment.
That's a great question, Commissioner Best. So, Madam Chair and Commissioner Best, the other upgrade to the room will include acoustic improvements to make the room. Part of the reason that room is tough is because you have a great Malapai wall at the back of it that you just referred to, which probably has been climbed a time or two and is always available for that. Between that wall and the cinder block, concrete block walls, it really has a lot of echo. So it needs some attention beyond just electronics, beyond IT, to make the acoustics in the room a little better. So that is part of the plan. Some upgrades to furniture as well, to where we can configure, you know, we reconfigure that room all the time. We make great use of that room, to where we can configure it properly, to where the commissioners could be viewing the screen, could be viewing a presenter at a podium, everyone being able to speak, everyone being able to hear, and of course, the public observing all of that as well. So that's the primary objective, is to make it functional, but appreciate your input on trying to make it have some character as well.
And the other issue would be how many people we could get in there. You know, we have ever filled the supervisors' chambers when there's a very controversial situation. So I don't know if we would want to take an adjacent room or just. It's hard if people show up and there isn't enough room for them. What do we do next? So you might want to just have a plan B, because you can't tell them to look at it online, because maybe they drove for an hour to get here.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's great comments, and some that have gone into the planning as well. If you remember at the Board of Supervisors hearings, at your hearings, when we used to hold them at the board chambers, there were a few times when we had more members of the public showing up than we had capacity for. So we will be posting what's the capacity of that room. We will set out seating for that capacity, and then we'll have to have an overflow plan. We have a lobby, obviously, that would have more room in it, and we would probably have to manage it the exact same way that we did at hearings that we held in the board chambers, where people would actually rotate out and rotate in order to get people in to speak or be present for the item that they were interested in. I will make one observation that I wanted to let you know about. At the most recent Board of Supervisors hearing on one of your items, it was the appeal of the conditional use permit for a cell tower in KEW. That case had a lot of public participation. had a lot of comments, had a lot of participants at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing. When the appeal went to the Board of Supervisors at an in-person hybrid meeting, all of the public who chose to attend that meeting attended online. There were not any members of the public who came in person. Several of us were there in person. The applicants were there in person, but that was the only people who chose to show up in person. So some of the world has gotten used to having the options of online, and I'm sure geography will always have a lot to do with when we get participation in person versus online. But that's our one and only. So not a lot of data points, but that's our one observation so far with a board public hearing on one of your items.
Maybe we could put a screen out in the lobby so that when folks are out there, they can hear and see, and then
Absolutely,
they can, step forward into the room to make their comments. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Best. Commissioner Ruggles?
Yes. I would like to thank Mr. McNeely for mentioning the acoustics, because I'm the person who kind of ranted and raved about that, because I have found that to be a problem in that auditorium from day one, for just about anything. So I'm very pleased to hear that brought up, because I think it will be beneficial to everyone. Not everyone has perfect hearing, and that, I don't know, part of my engineering background says, it's very important to take care of something like acoustics that are like an echo chamber. It leads to difficulty in understanding what people say sometimes, and not everyone has perfect hearing. So very pleased to hear that is being addressed. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ruggles. Great comments from the commissioners. And Mr. McNeely, I will just say that I am jealous that you guys have an ID department for a neighbor. I think you said a roommate. Man, am I jealous. Now, in fairness, when I called you because I couldn't figure out how to unmute, I was doing exactly what you instructed me to do, and it wouldn't do it for me. I guess it was glitched or something until I called you, and then instantly it knew I better start behaving. So just wanted to share that no one's going to accuse me of being a technology giant, but I really was doing the right thing on that one, and it didn't work till you were called. So thank you. That is all I have. I'm not seeing any other hands raised or unmutes. So it is 4:44 p.m. The study session is ended, and we will meet back here at 5:30 p.m. to start our public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll see you then.
All right. Mr. McNeely, this is Chair Ontiveros. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Madam Chair, yeah, this is Jess McNeely with staff. We hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, I want to do just a quick bit of housekeeping with you. I see all commissioners present except Commissioner Wilson. Is that what you see?
That is what I see as well.
Okay, and that's fine. We still have a 7-member commission tonight, so we have a quorum. So just wanted to be sure we were on the same page. Thank you, Mr. McNeely, and we'll start in 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. McNeely, this is Chair Ontiveros. You indicated staff was ready to go. So it is 5:30 p.m. and I am going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to start by reading the meeting rules and procedures. Welcome to the September 27th meeting of the Coconino County Planning and Zoning Commission. Cases will be heard in the order they appear on the agenda. Following the staff presentation, the applicant and/or the applicant's representative may address the commission. As an applicant, if you agree with the staff report and have no additional information, please feel free to keep your comments brief. Any relevant comments are welcome. Following the applicant's presentation, I will make a call to the public. If you wish to address this case, please state your name and address. We ask that your comments be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments must be relevant to the case. Please address all comments to the commission. No matter how strongly you may feel about the case, all comments must be polite and courteous. After all interested public have spoken, the public comment portion will be closed. Discussion will then take place amongst commissioners. Decisions of this commission regarding any zone change or preliminary subdivision plat approval are referred to the Board of Supervisors as a recommendation. All other case decisions are binding unless appealed to the Board of Supervisors. If you disagree with the commission's decision, you have 15 days to appeal. please contact staff at the Community Development Office for appeal procedures. Due to the virtual nature of this meeting, I will be doing a roll call vote of the commissioners to ensure accuracy for the record. Please mute your speakers and turn off your camera. Also, please do not use the comment function for discussions. It is for communicating with staff if you are having a problem connecting to the meeting. Thank you all for joining us this evening and actively participating in our county planning. The first item on the agenda this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand, and Mr. McNeely, please lead us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If everyone could please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The second item on the agenda is the approval of the August 30th, 2023 minutes. If there are no additions, corrections, or modifications, I will accept a motion and a second to approve, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from August 30th, 2023.
I will second that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Best and a second by Commissioner Ruggles to approve the August 30th, 2023 minutes as written. All in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Best?
Aye.
Commissioner Ruggles?
Aye.
Vice Chair Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Tohi?
Aye.
This is Chair Ontiveros, and I also vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. The third item on the agenda is public hearings. Items 1, 2, and 3 on the public hearing agenda, specifically CUP 21-039, CUP 23-036, and CUP 23-038 all have staff recommended approval and are simple CUP requests similar to others we have had in the past. I will first ask if any commissioner wants to discuss any of these three cases, or rather approve them together with one motion, and then I will reach out to the public. If any commissioner wishes to address any of the three, okay. I have Vice Chair Burton first, and then I've got Commissioner Ruggles second. Vice Chair Burton, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we need to do number 2 separately, since it's a continuance until October 25th and not a straight up approval.
You know what, that is a good question. The information that we did receive in our packet does have a recommendation for a 30-day approval. That's why I said that all three of them do have a staff recommendation. That said, Mr. McNeely, I'm going to ask you to address Vice Chair Burton's question and make sure that we are on solid legal ground by doing it this way.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would point out that this item has a recommendation from staff, so you could take it under one motion, just taking staff's recommendation that is in the staff report that is in your packet and is clearly here on the agenda as well. So you could approve it. You're not approving the item, you're approving the staff recommendation for a continuance to October 25th. That could go in one motion as following staff's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. That was my understanding, but I'm going to ask again if any commissioner wants to address any of the three items separately before I ask if anyone is in the public. Okay, not seeing any hands raised. I'm going to ask if there is anyone in the public that wishes to address either of these three cases that I mentioned? If so, please raise your hand or unmute. I'll see you, I'll call on you, and we will accept your comments. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close it to public comment. And since we're going to go ahead and make a motion for approval, it doesn't seem necessary for commission discussion. So I will accept a motion to move these three cases forward, please.
Chair Ontiveros, I will make a motion for this. I move for approval of case number CUP-21-039, CUP-23-036, and CUP-23-018 as with conditions as recommended by staff.
Okay, I want to just make sure that we're on the same page here. I have case number 3 listed as CUP 23-038. I believe you said 018. So let me just look at
that should have that should have been 038. I thought that that's what I said, but I will amend that to CUP 23-038.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to need a second. Commissioner Walsh, your hand is up and you are muted.
Good call. I second Commissioner
Okay.
Ruggles' motion. I also have a special request, Chair. Can you please make the agenda at least 100%, if not 110? I did not get a paper packet this time. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask staff to please increase the size of the agenda so Commissioner Walsh can see that. Thank you. I have, I've got a motion by Commissioner Ruggles and a second by Commissioner Walsh to approve case number CUP 21-039, CUP 23-036, and CUP 23-038. All in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Best.
Commissioner Best, you're muted if you weren't aware.
Thank you. Aye.
Commissioner Ruggles,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Towhee.
Aye.
This is Chair Ontiveros. I also vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. The fourth item on the agenda this evening is case number CUP 23-010.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob Short of our staff is managing this conditional use permit request for a cottage industry in the Parks area. And Bob, I see that your screen is shared and it's in presentation mode. So please go ahead and give the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Excuse me. This case is the Oxborough Cottage Industry, CUP 2310. And Mr. Oxborough, could you please turn off your camera? In this case, in this application, the property owner and applicant are Eric and Misty Oxborough of Williams, Arizona. Location of the property is at 8311 East Old Route 66 in Pittman Valley or Parks. Property size is 13.36 acres. The zoning is G general. That's 10 acre minimum parcel size zone. And the request is a conditional use permit for a cottage industry to operate a machine shop.
Can I interrupt real quick? I'm
Yeah.
not seeing the presentation.
Oh, you're not? Oh,
Yeah,
oh, you
Bob,
know
I
what?
think-
I may
yeah, I
have
think
accidentally
we
turned it
lost
off.
your
Let's
share.
see that. Yeah, something happened along the way. I apologize. Let's get it back up here.
We aren't seeing a share yet, Bob.
Yes, hold on 1 second.
Got it now.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that, commissioners. So this is a vicinity map showing the subject property. This is Pittman Valley. The Kadampa Center's right over here for reference. And this is the subject property. Note it's adjacent to National Forest right here in a big area of general zoning, with the interstate running close by and Route 66 to the north. And this is an aerial photo showing the same thing. You can see again the National Forest here, so there's no impacts to the National Forest on this side. And note that one of the issues with this might be noise. In this case, it doesn't seem to generate a lot of noise outside the building. But this is the shop, this is the house. And you can see the driveway coming in. This is about 300 feet to the interstate, so you get quite a bit of noise from that. And it's about 900, maybe 1,000 feet to this nearest home on this side. There's some background on this proposal. So this was previously, just back in 2018, it was a cottage industry before. It was for a hot rod, custom car, and welding business. So that operated from 2004 to 2018. The current request for the machine shop, that would include 2 CNC milling machines, and they are used to cut several types of materials, and that includes steel, aluminum, brass, and plastics. Most of the raw material that comes through the site will come through shipping companies, your standard FedEx, and that those visits would not be any more than like for a normal residence. For the majority of the work, the applicants or the customers, they send files to the applicant, so that reduces customer foot traffic quite a bit. The applicant also indicates that he may, in the future, have apprentices and may employ up to 1 to 2 people. The signage would include a small aluminum sign hung on the gate of the property and 1 additional sign in the window of the door of the shop. And that additional sign, as small as it is, and I'll show you that in a minute, it requires a waiver because the cottage industry only allows 1 sign, 6 square feet and 6 feet tall. The location near I-40, as I said before, and 900 feet from the nearest home would limit noise impacts. So these are the requests. The commission may grant waivers with approval of conditional use permit, and that's in section 5.7.B.4.B. And that includes specifically the floor area of a cottage industry. Normally, when you look at a cottage industry, you take the area in the house and the area of the cottage industry, and you add those together, and the combined floor area should only be 50% for the cottage industry. So only half of it shouldn't be larger than the house, but the applicant has asked for a waiver to that standard, and staff thinks this makes a lot of sense. It's not significant, not that significant. So in this case, the machine shop's about 2,000 square feet. The house is 1,800. and the additional square footage requested is about 200 square feet. And as I mentioned before, there's also a request for an additional sign, and that is a really small 1.25 square foot sign in the window of the machine shop. So this is the site plan, again, showing the subject property. This is the driveway coming in again, the house and the machine shop. Note that the applicant has actually cut off a piece of the garage, in fact, and a piece of this building to create the garage. In fact, you can't move between these two, as far as I could tell. So the shop is about 2,000 square feet, and the garage is about 1,000 feet, and the house is 1,800. And this is the sign that would be in the window. I actually just got clarity from the applicant that it wasn't as large as he had indicated originally. So I have that change as well in this presentation. These are the machines that are on site. This is one of them. There's another one just like it right next to it. So this is inside the machine shop. And these are some of the products that the applicant creates in the machine shop. This is the outside of the machine shops. This is the front door going in. And if you're in there, it's fairly noisy. It's not super noisy. You can actually talk. But once you walk outside this door, you really can't hear much of anything. As you can see, let me move back a section here. As you can see, there's sheetrock on the wall. It's insulated. I'm not sure to what level, but it definitely does quiet it down quite a bit. So this is the interstate, looking at a truck going by from the machine shop. This is actually a little bit closer because I'm pretty sure I was zooming in the lens at this point, but it gives you an idea about how close the interstate is. So any noise that did come out of the machine shop would be muffled. And this is the house. And again, I was zooming this in a little bit, so it is quite a bit further away than this. The applicant did have a neighborhood meeting. 9 property owners were notified within 800 feet of the subject property and held a virtual neighborhood meeting on July 12th, 2023. 2 people attended the meeting and no concerns were expressed. I think these people were from the same property. And staff hasn't received any comments on this case. This is a comprehensive plan and parks area plan compliance. Both of these do support cottage industries if they're located if they're in the right location, of course. And this definitely seems to be in the right location. And these are the conditions of approval. I just wanted to make this one change where before I said 2.25 square feet, the sign in the window is actually only 1.25 square feet. These are the findings of fact for conditional use permit. Those have been addressed in your staff report. And with that, staff recommends approval of CUP 23010 with the recommended conditions. And with that, I'll take any questions from the commission.
Okay, Mr. Short, I'm not seeing hands raised or unmutes, so I'm going to ask if the applicant or the applicant's representative would like to address the commission this evening. And my question to the applicant is, have you received the staff report and do you agree with the conditions contained? That includes the modification that Mr. Short just made to condition number 5, changing it from the sign size from 2.25 to 1.25. And with that, if you would like to address the commission, please state your name and address for the record and go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Oxborough, and the address is 8311 East Old Route 66. Yes, I did receive the packet. I had originally told Bob the signs were 18 by 18. They're actually one's 10. They're both 10 by 18, so 10 inches by 18 inches. And I agree with all the conditions. Not a problem with either or any of them. I'm excited to be in the neighborhood, and so.
Okay.
But
All
yeah.
right. Okay, thank you. This is Chair Aunt Tavares, and thank you, Mr. Oxborough. I'm going to ask if any of the commissioners have questions for Mr. Oxborough. If so, please raise your hand or unmute. Seeing none, I'm going to ask if there is anyone in the public that wishes to address the commission this evening on this case. I am not seeing that either, so I'm going to close it to the public and open it at commission discussion. Commissioner Best, would you please start us off?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can make the findings. This seems to be a great use of the cottage industry part of our zoning ordinance, and I don't see anything wrong with it, and I see a lot of opportunities coming out of it, so I can approve it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Best. Commissioner Ruggles.
Thank you very much. I also have no problem with making the conditions for approval of the CUP and the waivers also. There is one thing I would like to comment on, actually two. I want to commend the applicant for the data that he had sent that was in the packet relative to noise levels. This is one thing I understand extremely well. He did just terrific in giving us more than we ever needed to, especially myself, to evaluate it. I do have to say that I visited the site with Mr. Short. We did have ex parte discussion with the applicant. The ex parte discussion primarily involved what he could expect from us, the commission hearing, and that I wanted to get some sound level readings. I have a sound level meter that is that meets current standards for getting data like that, and we're in pretty general agreement. Okay, no problem there with the data that he got. But I would like to relate one thing about this. When we got there, I took sound measurements inside the shop, and that was with one of the Haas machine centers running. And the readings were on the order of 69 to 70 dBA. To me, that is not particularly noisy. Talking to the applicant about this, he said, well, we do get an increase when I have my stereo on. That bumped it up to about 76 in the shop. Going outside after that, we found it was a particularly busy day on the internet, on an interstate, excuse me. We recorded a continuous equivalent sound level of 72 dBA. It was louder outside than inside. Now from the shop over to the west property line is right at 430 feet. And that is where I wanted to come in and give you assurances that noise from the scientific standpoint, scientific and engineering standpoint, is not going to be a problem, because I ran a worst case situation where noise levels in the shop would be right at the OSHA maximum for 8-hour exposure. That is 90 dBA. The type of construction will mitigate that sound level by 35 dBA to about 55 right outside the door of the shop. 55 dBA, if there was no other sound outside, would be at a level of 2.3 dBA at the property line, and that is the shortest distance to the property line. So the next thing I ran was, how much does that contribute to the overall sound level that the applicant recorded of 45, which is an average or the continuous equivalent sound level on the west property line. The calculator I use will not run out that many decimal places with zeros to the left. So if you have 45 dBA at that property line and noise levels are well beyond what I would ever expect in a shop of this type running the equipment he's running, it is literally zero contribution to the overall sound level. And that is the basis that I wanted to bring to your attention to show you just what affects what, and the fact that since sound levels had been brought up, I felt they needed to be addressed in a logical manner based on good science and engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ruggles. This is Chair Ontiveros, and I want to thank you for that in-depth analysis. I must honestly admit that some of it was a bit above my pay grade, but again, thank you for that information. It's good, valuable, and appreciated.
Thank you. I
Vice
tried to
Chair-
keep it as simple as possible.
Oh, that was the simple. That was the simple version.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
was.
Thank you, Commissioner Ruggles, for keeping the analysis in simple terms. Still a bit above my pay grade, but thank you for that. Okay. Vice Chair Burton.
I can make all the findings. I have no problem with anything here, and I can also I'm also okay with the waiver as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Walsh.
I can make the findings. I am also okay with the waiver, although I think they would have been best to keep the sign larger. But yes, I make the findings. Congratulations.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
I also can make the findings and am in favor of the waivers.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Towhee.
Good afternoon or evening. I'm also great with the conditions here that are lined out. And I also want to commend the person, Mr. Oxborough, just the thought you have about teaching other people. I think I really took that to heart, and thank you for that. And I approve.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Towhee. This is Chair Ontiveros. And Commissioner Towhee, you beat me to the basically compliment to Mr. Oxborough that he is teaching this trade to others. I also feel that that is very important. And so I would like to say to Mr. Oxborough, thank you for doing that. And I think that this use is very well done. I think you've done a very good job, and it's going to fit into this area nicely. I can make the findings, and I also approve the waiver. So I will accept a motion in a second for approval, and please, whoever makes the motion, be sure to do the modification to condition number 5, please.
I will make a motion on this one. I move for approval of CUP. By the way, those are not classified documents I'm shuffling. CUP 23-010 with conditions as revised by staff.
I'll
Okay,
second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Williams. I have a motion by Commissioner Ruggles and a second by Commissioner Williams for approval of CUP 23-010 with a modification to number 5 that the sign will be no larger than 1.25 feet. With that, all in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Wilson? I'm sorry, Commissioner Best?
Aye.
Commissioner Ruggles?
Aye.
Vice Chair Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Towhee?
Aye.
This is Chair Aunt Taveras. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Oxborough, and best of luck as you develop this. And the next item on the agenda is a call to the public for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to address the commission this evening for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, my clock shows 6:02 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Good night, everybody. See you next
Thanks, Madam
month.
Chair. Have a good night.
All right, thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.